Mothers and others, I'm so excited to introduce our next candidate tonight. Um, the next candidate is Dwain Handley. Dwain Handley is a candidate for Texas House 19. He is running up against Republican Ellen Troxclair. And you know what? She's sort of in my backyard, you all. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Ellen Troxclair. She's not the brightest person at the ledge, and sometimes she says pretty silly things like, especially on the day that vouchers didn't pass, she just said some things that were just completely off the wall and untrue. And so we really need to vote Ellen Troxclair out of office, and we really need to vote for somebody in that seat like Dwain Handley. So, Dwain, welcome so much for joining us tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running for office?
I come from a grassroots organizing background. I first got active in politics after the Sandy Hook massacre. And when it became apparent that 90% of Americans wanted something and we couldn't get it, something was wrong. And I had become frustrated not being able to be heard, not only in the Republican district that I was in, but even within the Democratic Party. I couldn't seem to get anyone's attention. And so I said, I'm going to get involved here. I'm going to go meet these people and speak. And I ended up becoming a precinct chair. I ended up becoming a neighborhood team leader and field organizer for Battleground Texas in the 2013 and 14 campaign. So that's how I got started being politically active. Before that, though, I actually grew up in a Republican family and continued to vote Republican into my 30s until it came time for me to come out as gay, and I realized I couldn't be Republican anymore. There's a lot more to that story than that, but in a couple of minutes, I don't think we want to go into too much of a depth. But I have bachelor's and master's degrees in finance from Texas A&M. I went into the banking field. I enjoyed the study of economics, and from that perspective, have come to realize that the moneyed class is, frankly, democracy is inconvenient for them, and they would like to do away with it. And that's my number one issue, quite frankly.
Well, that sounds great. Well, it's really nice to meet you, Dwain, even though you seem very familiar. I wonder if we've
We've
been.
been on before. We've been on together before.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I think I've met you
I think
before. Sure.
you can, I believe, were you I think you were in that rural county tour with 134 Pack. And when y'all came to Marble Falls, I believe you were there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I had just stepped up to be a precinct chair here with no intention of running for office. And then it became apparent that we need a candidate. So here I am.
Well, I'm so glad that you stepped in. And see, there was a reason why we went on this rural tour. We met with
Yeah.
lots of people and got them to run for office. So
And you did a great job too, by the way. I can't believe how many candidates we have in districts where we didn't have them before.
yeah, we worked really hard. At Mothers, we started doing a lot of this work last year in January. We were like,
Right.
what are we going to do about precinct chairs? What are we going to do about
Right.
this? So
Mhm.
we don't often get a lot of like the credit for doing a lot of the work, but we've been working it since
I'm
then.
sure giving you credit.
Yeah, thank you. I really
I'm
appreciate
grateful.
it. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So, okay, so let's talk to us a little bit about what are the top three important issues for your district?
Okay. Well, I have more than three, and then I have just one. My number one issue is democracy. And I would say number two and number three are also democracy. I don't need to tell you that there's a long, growing list of issues and imperatives that are critical to us, like education and the way that we finance it and the way tax dollars are being spent, the quality and resource commitment, school vouchers. The moneyed class is really trying to get in there and find a profit opportunity. I care about healthcare autonomy. This involves reproductive choice for women and also transgender care for our youth, trying to find their way. I care deeply about gun violence. Sandy Hook, I told you, is what got me to get up and say, okay, I'm going to be active now. Climate change and water issues, affordable housing, immigration, and, that it's humane and that meets our economy's needs. a recurring theme is that we need to reassert and reaffirm the separation of government and religion. That theme is running through so much of right-wing ideology and legislation now. I want to restore, full voting rights, and the rights of home rule cities. So how do you pick three out of that? Well, democracy, because we can't do anything really substantively about any of these without democracy. And I'm really afraid that it's in peril. And we've got an election this year, where in Texas, we only need to flip 4 state Senate seats and 12 House district seats, and we'll have a Democratic legislature in 2025. And I think this is imperative and that we mustn't fail. We've got to take this very, very seriously, because if we don't, I think we may not get another crack at it. That could be it. And with a Democratic legislature, even if we still have a Republican governor, there's an awful lot of law that we can change through constitutional amendments, because those go straight to the voters. Greg Abbott wouldn't be able to have a thing to say about it if we proposed an amendment, say, to prohibit gerrymandering. If we outlaw gerrymandering, after that, we'd be able to get cracking on pretty much every one of these imperatives inside of 15 minutes. And I think if we were to put that in front of the voters, they'd say, yeah, we're tired of gerrymandering. I would want to restore full and equal voting rights. I think we can put that into the Constitution, and absolutely healthcare autonomy. We need to get the governor and the legislature and the state Supreme Court out of the business of practicing medicine without a license. They're not qualified. They don't know enough. They don't know anything. We need to leave that in the purview of medical professionals, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, and patients and families. And so I told you, I come at this from a grassroots field organizing background, and tell me if I'm going a little too far over my time here, but there is no more powerful means of getting out the vote than human contact, whether it's postcards or phone calls or door knocks. And we could pay for some of these things, but they use up resources and they have a limited reach. With trained volunteers, which is what I want to do, we can keep on working even when money runs low. And I want to use my campaign to recruit volunteers and to including new precinct chairs for the county parties. I want this campaign to be beneficial, not just to my running for office, but for all the partners that we have. And I want to train these folks in all of our volunteer activities so that we can get out the vote come November. And we've got to elect officials who will say no to extremism, who will insist on adult conversation, and who will reach out a hand to Washington of cooperation and problem solving rather than pulling stunts and picking fights. And if Democrats can win the legislature in 2024, we will change Texas. And if we change Texas with 30 million of us, we can change America. And if we change America, we change the world. And that is something I want to achieve.
Me too. I hear you there. And for those that do not know, one of the themes that we are actually working on this year at Mothers Against Greg Abbott and Mothers for Democracy is that we're going to address the fascism issue. We're going to address authoritarians. We are going to address the fact that democracy is on the line. And we are going to very soon in the next couple of weeks, be announcing all of our anti-fascist training. So hopefully lots of people here will be able to do the training webinars and all of those things. So it's super duper important. So I'm so
and in a district like mine, this is going to be a tall climb. This is a 72 to 28 district.
Mm-hmm.
And my number to win is 80,000 votes. And, Beto got 28,000. So that's a big climb. But we've got 65,000 voters here who didn't vote last time around.
I believe it.
So, and we've got to go after the voter who has checked out, who's checked out of the process, and convince them, persuade them that they've got to check back in because their country needs them. Texas needs them. And if they can be made to understand that their community and society need them, I think that might break through. But it takes a ground game. We've got to have people to reach them. It takes human contact. And of course the messaging is important and all of that. But, historically, both parties have concluded that it's not worth the effort to reach out to these voters because you're just going to be spending resources and they're not going to vote.
Yes.
Well, if we have volunteers, it costs a whole lot less money and the volunteers are not giving up. And we're
Yeah.
like, I'm not letting go of you until you come and vote.
So tell us, Dwayne, so where can we find you and how best can we support you right now?
Okay. My website is Handley four with the number four, handley4texas.com. On Facebook, my Facebook is facebook.com/handley4texas.com. Right now, I am looking for people who are willing to volunteer on this campaign. And you don't have to be in my district to do it, but any other kind of supporters as well. And of course, donations are very much needed, but click on my page, share me, make me known. If you know anybody in HD 19, say, hey, we've got this great guy running for state house.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, Dwayne. I really appreciate you taking the time to introduce yourself to members of our group and to other Texans out there who may have not heard of you yet. So thank you so much. And I look so forward to seeing you on the campaign trail.
Thank you, Nancy, for doing all of this. This is huge.